Hello and welcome to today's What's Up Wednesday Live. If you're joining us, we appreciate you carving out this time in the month of love. Food is our love language, and a lot of what we talk about on these What's Up Wednesday Lives is ways to keep your food program inspired, right? And we know it takes a village, and I'm on location. I like to say, hair, nut, hair, hair, net, hair, don't care. I am on location with some of our industry, spreading the love for the local School Nutrition Association meeting, which was hosted today at Arlington Valley Farms in Hudson, Ohio. And so I have to give a shout out to my friend. If we could advance to the next slide, you all can see and meet, at least in picture, our friend, Peter Jacobson. And that was me a little bit earlier today, touring his fabulous facility where obviously if you haven't tried these products before, the snack and waffle is one of my daughter's favorites. Actually, she ate one this morning. You can also buy them retail, which is kind of fun. I'm doing a little commercial just because I love this product. One of the things we learned about food being our love language, being on partner location with local school nutrition professionals, as well as Peter Jacobson and his team, is the care they take into the ingredients to make this waffle. And so I got to see that firsthand today. And I will say, it is quite deliciously smelling of maple, buttery maple in production right now. So it's kind of hard. I wish I could have you smell the wonderful smell of these snack and waffles as we present. But today we have lots to talk about. So we are going to share with you some, of course, menu matters and inspiration. Marge and I and the team have really, we hope, put together a set of slides for you to kind of inspire your next steps throughout this early spring. I think we're all waiting for the snow to melt and some inspiration to warm our hearts and our menus, and I hope we can do that for you today. Also, we're going to talk with our team. It takes a village. Again, the love is real with Healthy Meal Planner Pro today, and one of my favorite colleagues and friends talking a little bit about February and financial fitness. If you all remember last year, we did a really bit on that just because we're all thinking about ending our year with a strong budget and also mindfulness of how that's going to work as we go into next year. Of course, it would not be a What's Up Wednesday Live without doing something good, some admin roundup, some talk about the new nutrition standards. So this is going to be packed full. I really want to just express my gratitude and love for this month for some more of our partners and the opportunities our partners continue to provide for us. And so with that, our next slide will show you the importance, we got to go back one, the importance of being a part of the opportunities we have in this industry, which is with our partners at NextGen with their digital menu, their DigiZine resource. We are now contributing editors to that resource and guidance, and that is their DigiZine under our column called Edible Education. And so that edible education, again, if you click to the next slide, please. Again, location is struggling. There we are. Here we are. Partnerships. We love our partnerships. So if you haven't seen this Served DigiZine yet, this Served magazine is a leading publication by Marlon Gordon and his team and partner over at the NextGen desk. And so we are now serving up education through this edible education column. If you haven't seen it, please, I think they're going to drop a link into the chat box to kind of check that publication out. We are excited to be a part of this this year, and our next article is being submitted today. So we are super pumped about that opportunity. Again, great resource. If you haven't seen it, please take a look at it. Also, Lunch Assist Pro, I would be remiss. We're going to talk a little bit at the end about some local resources with Jen McNeil and her group and our friends at Lunch Assist Pro. They are doing a lunch hour call, which again, if you aren't a part of that, we're going to drop in some resources and send out those resources at the end. Check her out. The stuff that she's doing keeps us all on task with very organized checklists. Again, we'll share that resource at the end of today's presentation, but just thanks to our sister company out in California, they are sharing our recipe book. If you haven't seen that, we're going to be talking about that today. And we've been getting some real love from the West Coast, which just shows the tight-knit community child nutrition is. And, it takes a village and it takes a whole lot of folks to make this run. So I'm also going to share some love for my team, and I'm going to pass it over to Marge. She is our lover of all things organizing our recipes. So I am going to send it to you, Marge, and thank you all for attending.
Thank you, Maureen, and happy midday week to everybody. So as always, we're hoping that we can provide some menu inspiration, even if you can find one thing that we provide as a new recipe and add to your menu, or if you already have, please put in the comments. We would love to hear if you've tried one of these recipes. So looking ahead to March as being National Nutrition Month, I know last month on our What's Up Wednesday Live, I talked about some global entrees being around the theme this year of global flavors. So if you're not really up to doing a whole entree of a global flavor, I put together this month some side dishes that might be worth a try. So we know a lot of kids like our Asian bowl days, and often we serve broccoli with that. A really simple thing to do to add some Asian flavors would be to roast the broccoli and then put like a spicy Thai chili sauce on it. We know kids see that flavor, they're familiar with it. Also, another global flavor would be something like a Greek pasta salad. So if you have a sandwich bar, a sub bar, maybe put up a Greek pasta salad and highlight that. And then kind of getting to my roots, German potato salad. Something different we don't always think about, but definitely tasty, pretty easy recipe, an alternative for, again, a global flavor trend side dish. And then I love this bottom concept that we had here. We had a school who has done a whole meal that was kind of Caribbean inspired. And again, really easy, taking chicken, but adding some jerk seasoning to it. And then doing like a coconut black bean rice, plantains, a cilantro, coleslaw. So if you're more ambitious, want to do a whole meal, we have got that covered too. Of course, March brings in Dr. Seuss's birthday, so you may want to celebrate that. And we have some of our early childhood centers who love to celebrate Dr. Seuss's birthday and make it a day where they serve green eggs to the students using spinach. So kids love to see this, serve it maybe with a side of turkey ham or ham. So we have that recipe if that would be something you'd want to highlight that day. Of course, we can't forget about National School Breakfast Week coming up. And we always love, steal some ideas. And I saw some of these posted online and thought they were great. Something like a monkey tail with yogurt dip, I think would appeal to some of the younger kids. Really easy, just a tortilla wrap with some peanut butter or sun butter and a banana in there for the monkey tail. I love the visual presentation of yogurt banana splits. You could do with any variety of fruits, something to think about if you haven't done that. And then the bacon, egg, cheese breakfast spiral is a recipe I saw from the National Dairy Council, where you can use pizza dough and spiral it, with eggs, bacon. I think kids would definitely love something like that. Okay. And if those seem too complicated, it's okay to go easy, but try something new. So just presenting different options, using these theme days as a way to try something, I think is great. And these are all really easy options too, that you can make a bundle, easy grab and go breakfast. Those could even go on for a lunch, really. So we have also coming up National Burrito Day. Of course, I would think most of us probably have some kind of Tex-Mex burrito on our menu, but it's some different, again, a little bit of a twist. These are great days to try something new. There's a Fritos burrito. So basically a burrito, but adding some Fritos in there for crunch, given an extra twist. Or doing some kind of Tex-Mex burrito bowl salad where you add salsa, beans with chicken, maybe tortilla strips on it as an alternative salad on National Burrito Day. All right. This is just speaking to me. National Grilled Cheese Sandwich Day, ironically, happens to be on my birthday, so there must be some vibes going there. So I think a grilled cheese bar options would be great. And we have a few here, more of a Tuscan grilled cheese that uses spinach, tomato, and cheese. And then I'll tell you, one of my teenage son's favorite is to put pepperoni on a grilled cheese. So we have that pepperoni grilled cheese sandwich. Or on the bottom, you can spice it up a little bit and do more like a nacho grilled cheese with a little bit of jalapeno and using more Monterey Jack cheese. This is super simple. You got to love a recipe that only has 3 ingredients and is really tasty. So to celebrate National Peach Cobbler Day on April 13th, you might want to try this peachy keen cinnamon roll, where you're just using the freezer to oven cinnamon rolls, canned peaches, and a little bit of cinnamon. Sounds simple, and it is, but it's also really tasty. And then, of course, we have to remind everybody about our cookbook that we have. Again, if you've tried recipes from here, please put it in the chat. We would love to hear from you. We have recipes, videos, pictures, how to make the recipes. So again, just trying to always inspire for creativity on your menus. Okay. So want to jump a little bit. I'm sure many of you have heard the announcement of the new standards that have been announced. And I think anytime somebody hears something new, the first thing they want to do is panic about change. Change can be hard, but we're here to tell you, again, I love it. Don't panic. You can call PASANIC. And we're ready to help. I think when you look at these new standards, there's really nothing to panic about. And we'll kind of go through them. Milk, I won't talk about too much. I think, that one's pretty straightforward, that we'll be able to, next school year, be able to offer 1% flavored milk, if that's something that you think your students, to increase milk consumption really need 1% versus a fat-free, that is going to be an option to be able to do that. I will say you want to be mindful, if the only milk that you're offering is 1%, of course, that adds more saturated fat to your menu. So sometimes we do have schools that only offer, 1% white, 1% flavored. And we're having to be mindful of other sources of saturated fat on the diet, and that can add some limitations, but it is an option to have 1% flavored milk. We're going to dive a little bit more into the sodium restriction. If I can have our sodium guidelines, the next slide, please. Because I think that's the one that tends to make people panic. Just to remind people, the new guidance states that for next school year, the 22-23 school year, we will stay at the current target 1 sodium levels. However, the following school year, the intent is to take it down by about 10%. And why do they do that? I think sometimes we see these restrictions and we think they're just, adding extra burden, when in fact, all of us, I think, want to not just provide food to kids, but provide healthy meals. And we know that, 1 in 6 children have elevated blood pressure. And decreasing sodium reduces your risk of having high blood pressure. So it's certainly pertinent in that regard that we be mindful of the sodium on our menus. And the average American eats way more sodium than is recommended. The recommendation is for about 2,300 milligrams of sodium a day, but most Americans eat well over 3,400 milligrams a day. And you do, even as young children, acquire that taste perception for higher sodium if that's what you've been exposed to. So that's, really the rationale why this is important. How do you accomplish that reduction? Again, we have some time to work towards this, but you want to always be thinking ahead. Doesn't hurt to start making some transition now on your menu. And when you think about that 10% reduction, so the current, depending on the age range of the menu standards, the current menus are guidance is anywhere from the 1,230 milligrams of sodium to about 1,420 milligrams of sodium. 10% reduction is not really a lot. You see, I put there, it goes down to a little over 1,100 to a little under 1,300 milligrams of sodium. So a small, modest reduction. Some things that you can do is certainly looking to purchase the lower sodium option when you have a choice. And thinking about building your menus, this is something we've talked about with how we create menus, but if you do that yourself, something to keep in mind is what we call bundling items. So, offer versus serve allows us to, offer children a variety that they may not take everything or don't have to. So, for example, sometimes we have that peanut butter and jelly Uncrustable on the menu with a cheese stick and some kind of side cracker, Cheez-It or whatnot. And maybe the kids don't really take every single one of those components. Or sometimes you have a salad on and you bundle it automatically with a roll. And not all kids take the roll if they were given the choice. Or if on your menu, when you put that salad on, you automatically put extra, salad dressing. Those kind of things, when you put it all on your menu as one recipe kind of bundled together, you're counting all of the sodium encompassed in all those ingredients. So knowing that you have offer versus serve, and maybe the kids don't take that whole bundled meal option or wouldn't, we can kind of work with the menu so that that average doesn't have to be as high, the sodium average, from including all of those components. So again, something just to keep in the back of our mind as a way to work through getting our menus compliant. And then of course, when you think about sodium, you want to think about ways to offer flavor without adding extra sodium. And we'll talk more about those. So when I mentioned trying to look at some different sodium options, I just picked one here, went into GFS for ordering, and of course condiments have a lot of sodium in them. So I compared two different gallon types of ranch dressing, and then two different individual portion cups of ranch dressing. And you can see the difference just there in that dressing between the two different types is over 100 milligrams of sodium, just switching or making sure that you order a lower sodium option. And, Insight, actually the one that was lower sodium in both instances was also the less expensive. We have heard manufacturers are going to start modifying some of their products. So this is great news. If you saw this from Land O'Lakes for their cheese sauces, they're already planning for next school year to make these cheese sauces with a reduced sodium amount. So all those little tweaks like that can help keep our menu in that targeted sodium range. Some culinary tips to flavor your food without salt. Things like aromatics. Aromatics are vegetables herbs, seasonings that when you crush them or heat them, they impart flavor. So things like garlic, onion, that can add a lot of flavor to foods without the addition of sodium or salt. Certainly herbs and seasonings, and salt really should just play a minor, they always say add salt to bring out the flavor of other things. You shouldn't just be adding salt to impart salt flavor. A little bit of salt will enhance the other herbs and seasonings that you have in a recipe. Things like vinegars, there's a variety of different flavors and styles of vinegars, and citrus can also add an element of flavor without the salt. The return of flavor stations. So I think this is great to give choice to students, creativity, make them feel like they're, customizing what they're making, even with the addition of some flavors, and is also a great way to reduce sodium that you're making in foods. Trade East, I know, will offer support for setting up flavor stations, so you can always reach out to them if that's something that you haven't done in the past and would like, more information, bottles, containers. They can certainly help you with that. Of course, we have our support ticket system. So any way that we could help, whether you would like a copy of our cookbook, you can send a request to our support@pplc.info email. If we support your menus and you want to do any of these recipes, of course, just sending a support ticket for us to do that, we can work with you to make that happen. And I think, great. Well, now
Yay.
I'm happy to send it back to Maureen.
Well, thank you so much, Marge. And I know she's often like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, and we always pull that curtain and let her have her time to shine, because she definitely is the person that keeps us all on task when it comes to organizing our menus. As she was speaking, if you haven't gotten a chance to look at the chat box, we did drop in the link. If you have not yet looked at our cookbook, please take a look. We are already working on our next cycle of recipes that we will be providing throughout the year, and we're interested in feedback. So we have a short survey once you get the cookbook, if you're willing, 3 questions, 4 questions. Dave wrote it, and for those of you who know my husband, he's very short with words. He just wants to know what you want. And I think one of the things that I'm just always fortunate is the good dynamic of communication and discussion. And so we want to help you meet your goals. And a lot of us are thinking about what recipes we want to do. So let us help you right size those recipes and get them into the catalog of Healthy Pro and out to share with you and share with your schools to make buying and documenting compliance easier. And with that being said, I will just bubble up here for a second. Lynn gave me her bio. I don't know many of you knew that she really worked in school food service as a director, as a supervisor in schools, knows the job back and forward. And really the latter half of her career has been with Healthy Meal Planner Pro. So if you've never met Miss Lynn Chavinsky, she has been at our back to school boot camps. She's also been at many state SNA shows and just really gets it. She gets what we're all up against in terms of the struggles we have, because she's walked in our footsteps as well. And so we are just beyond pleased. Last year during COVID, we kind of sat together and, like all of us felt like we were going a little stir crazy. And we talked about financial fitness and how the heck we're going to come out on the opposite side of this, whatever it has been the last 2 years, with some semblance of what our budget looks like, what our key performance indicators look like. And so we thought, with the help of course, our boots on the ground specialist, Tina Hastings, to really create some energy, some conversation around financial fitness for this February. We at Pasonic Partners love a good alliteration. And so I am pleased and very happy that you were able to join us today, Lynn. I'm going to hand it over to you and Tina to take it away for this section of Practicing What We Preach.
All right, thanks, Maureen. So as Maureen mentioned, you know, last year there were so many different things going on and you kind of weren't sure what you were going to walk into one day. But the importance of keeping an eye on your finances has always been there. And point case of, you know, when food costs started going up this year and people started clamoring to USDA to be able to say, we need more money, this is really costing us a lot, we can't get by on what you're doing, you know, they had the ability to then say, all right, we'll give you a higher reimbursement level, we're going to add additional monies. But those things don't just happen if there's no documentation behind it that you can say, look, these are our costs, this is what's really happening. So as Maureen talked about, we looked at creating financial fitness, and we love this little metaphor because it's really about just taking that first step and getting going. We all know how hard it is, and we say January, we're going to start, we're going to go, but that's really what it is. So we like to think no matter how slow you go, you're still lapping everybody who's still sitting on the couch. So taking that first step is all it takes. It's a small piece. You're not looking to run a marathon. That's not what we're about. We want you to just get up off the couch, take step one, and start putting some things together. And so that's a lot of what Tina's going to go through is how can you identify some of these small little costs right now that you're dealing with that are going to help you in the long run.
Okay, so that's where I'm going to talk about our February financial tips that we're talking about and doing one step at a time. We're talking about going, we're talking about taking 15 minutes. Maybe we're doing 15 minutes of paying attention to what we're doing. You know, we think about as we exercise, who wants to go out and run for an hour? Who wants to spend an hour's worth of time out there exercising? But if we do it in little 15-minute increments, it kind of makes it a little bit better. So as we talked about last month, kind of to forewarn you to this month, we're talking about what does FMV stand for. We're going to talk about how does the uses of our commodities affect our KPI and take advantage of what we get, what's out there for us to get. So on the next slide, I'm going to talk about what does FMV stand for. Now, this was one thing, it stands for fair market value. And what that is the amount that actually draws down from your entitlement dollars. We talked about how, you know, commodity money is coming down. You know, people are running out of commodity money. Never in a million years has this happened. You know, in all the years I've been here, I've never had it, you know, to where we lost our money. You want to find your product lists. When you want to find your fair market value, what you're going to do is go into wherever your commodity planner is. If it's through HPS, it's under our product tab. So you want to know where your commodity planner is and where to find this fair market value amount from. So on the next slide, it kind of shows you, this is kind of where, this is what, if you go into HPS, if you're an HPS customer, you'll see the fair market value there over on the right-hand side. And that tells you how much money is actually coming out of your commodity dollar every time you use that green shield. I know if you're like me, I've always told my girls, look for that green shield. Don't order anything unless you see that green shield. Well, now we're kind of in trouble because we're out of our green shields. So now I'm looking at it and trying to think, okay, how much is this gonna cost me? So this is where you find that information. So as you're going through, if you want to know how much your beef crumbles are, you may be only paying $40 on GFS, but it's actually taking $128 out of your commodity money. If you look under your fair market value, it'll tell you where that is. So another thing that we talk about through this commodity planner and our fair market value is our $2.95. How many of you have ordered that you said $2.95 and you think, yes, $2.95 for, you know, frozen peach cups? This is my example here. These are our USDA commodity products or brown box products that we get, and we're getting charged $2.95 on that GFS bill, or, you know, whoever you get your billing from, and you're all excited and you think, oh, $2.95, I can't beat that for 96, you know, 96 peach cups. Well, now you got to think about your fair market value that's put in there as well. And if you go back and you look at our peach cup, a peach cup is $33.67 is going to draw down out of your commodity money. Plus you're going to pay that $2.95 out of your pocket to pay the GFS bill. Your total cost is now $36.62. So out of our pocket, it's $2.95. Our drawdown is $33.67. Well, when you divide that into the 96 cups, you're talking now 50 cents. You know, are we going to really want to pay 50 cents for a peach cup? Or do we want to use the apple, get the number 10 cans of applesauce, or get the number 10 cans of peaches and pack it that way? Now that we're looking and trying to think about where this money is going, since our commodity money is drawing down quickly. So I'm going to pass it off to Lynn to talk about balance.
So as Tina said, that's where you've got to look at what's your expense and compare that to your income. So right now, our income is related to basically getting SFSP reimbursement levels. If you're on that, getting that additional 25 cents that the government has promised. So your income is also based upon your participation. Those are kind of the only two ways to drive that side of it. You either increase your participation or you increase the amount of money that you're getting for that meal. So to offset that expense, now you've got a product that is going up that you're maybe having to buy on the market. And we all know those products are going up commercially. So look at taking it down to that plate cost where you can truly look at, yeah, maybe it doesn't seem like it's that much, $36, but when you say it's actually 50 cents of your item, that's going to be significant based upon the amount of income that you're getting. And if you look at it now, I know everybody doesn't want to kind of look beyond this year. We sort of want to just go like that, but we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the reimbursement levels are going to be at, if they're going to maintain allowing meals to be at no cost to all students. And, honestly, if we go back, what was your last paid meal cost? And have we even considered how that compares to the income level that may be coming in? So it's going to be important to look at finding that balance, to really dive in to look at what am I getting per meal and what is that expense? And Tina's going to talk more about what to look for.
So we're going to kind of talk about commercial versus commodity. Now, these are for the districts that have run out of commodity money. We've gone into this. So how is this going to do it? If you're running low on commodity monies, we're going to talk a little bit about that, on what you can do there. And then how to utilize your HPS reports or your commodity reports in order to help you know where your money is going. So on the next slide, we're going to talk about commercial versus commodity. Again, this is one of the things I always thought, oh, if my green shields went to red, I can't get, or, you can't get them. So, but if it went to yellow, what does that mean? So when you see your green shields have gone to yellow shields, that means you're out of commodity money, but they're going to still allow you to buy these products. So, but you're going to pay a commercial price. So that's some of the things that we're looking at here. Some of our main dish items that we're looking at, chicken tenders, your commodity, you're going to pay $103 when before we were paying $71.40 with commodity money. When we had our commodity money for turkey franks as an example, we were paying $38.75 for, when we had the commodity money, it was drawing down. Now you're going to, as a commercial, you're going to pay $61.35. So you want to kind of look at these items now that you're budgeting towards the end of the year to see, yes, we've had great participation this year and our money is hopefully flying in for everybody. But now we don't want to lose it all between, now and the end of the school year. So these are things you want to kind of pay attention to, look at, be prepared with examples like the turkey franks, prime example. They're going to charge us $61.35 commercially now because we don't have any commodity money. Now you may want to look into GFS brand. GFS brand turkey, turkey franks was $42. So do we still want to stick with the product or the item that we've been using all this year, which we have the ability to do, and we know what this product is, or do we want to kind of branch out and check and see there may be a cheaper product that's just as good a quality and be able to use it without using it since we don't have the commodity money. Then you also have the districts out there that are kind of, oh, we're wavering at the end, we're running, we got maybe $10,000 left commodity money. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this? Think about it. You want to concentrate on your center of your plate. If you look at your fair market value, there's no sense in buying a commodity French fry because you're only going to, it's going to take like $4 off. That's not where you want to spend those commodity monies. You want to look at your chicken, your beef, all of those things. Let me tell you, being out of commodity monies in one of my districts, no JTM taco meat is not a good thing. So we've had to figure out how do we now look at different items to get our tacos in. We know our kids want those tacos every week. So how do you do it? So if you still have some commodity money, think about it. Think about using it where it is. Check out your fair market value and know where it is. And then this is the best practice right now for your $2.95. You know, those USD commodities, your brown box products that are $2.95. Look at it. Look at your fair market value. Is it a friend or a foe? Is it going to help you or is it going to not help you? Burgers, $2.95 right now. They're starting to come back in. I know everybody's been out of burgers. So just kind of look at that and see where you're at. And lastly, look at your commodity reports. You know, our PAL report is our PAL. It tells us exactly what we have. It tells you where we're at. It tells you what you guys are using. Your landed detail report, phenomenal tool that I don't think a lot of us realize, especially this year, we don't have time to concentrate on that. Now coming towards the end of the year, you find time to look at it. Your landed detail is going to tell you exactly where your money's going. It's going to tell you which buildings in your district are using what, you know, and kind of make it a little competition. And, you know, hey, listen, if you can use more landed detail than this district, let's see, you know, make it a little game, see who can use the most. And then your commodity drawdown report, another one that is going to help you know how much poundage, how much money you're actually using in your commodity monies to kind of help yourself budget towards to get through to the end of the year without running out. And then finally, we wanted to, you know, take advantage of every extra thing we can get. You know, think about this. You can't, you know, extra monies that are coming out of there, that federal reimbursement that's extra this year. You know, they just gave us an additional 25 cents more. Thank the Lord they did this to help us get through there. You know, this financial, use it while we can. You know, next year we say, no, we don't have a clue what's going to happen next year. We don't know. Right now, we got to take advantage of this universal free feeding. You know, do whatever you can to get your participation and get that money in as much as you can for these last few months to make sure we're getting that money to help us make it through the end of the year. Also, we got the USDA commodities that's coming up that they're going to limit you to using your unprocessed foods. You know, that's an additional 5,000. Watch for that. Plus there's a formula on that one that you'll see later. Use that money. Make sure you sign up for it. Make sure you get it. You know, this is a year that we've been able to apply for grants. Some of these districts that have never been able to do, you know, because we've always we run that 40% free and reduced, and you're not qualified for these extra grants. Use those, apply for them, get that grant money that you possibly can. And then finally, we got extra funds coming. I don't know if y'all seen it. We got the email last week saying DOD is going to give us some extra money to get us through July through September. Spoke with Tammy at Swepsy, and it doesn't mean you don't have to feed for the summer to get that money. So if you're not feeding in the summer, they're going to just divvy up the money and give it to us. Make sure you use it in August and September so that you're not using your money that you can use the rest of the year. Because again, we're not sure where we're going to be, what's going to be happening next year. And you know, just like I said, utilize everything you possibly can, you know, that we can get in through this year while we have the chance to do it.
So one of the things you really want to focus on is actually doing the work. So again, the only bad workout's the one that you didn't do. When you have to, at the end of the year, explain where you are, you don't want to have to be coming up short and saying, well, you know, there were supply chain issues and there were, you know, the cost of food went up. Everybody hears that, but on the flip side, everybody in the school district heard, oh, school lunch, you know, we're feeding students at no cost and the government's covering that. Well, they don't know that it's not really covering the cost of your food or how difficult it is to get that food in or that you've run out of commodity dollars. So remember that you're competing against that information that's out there. And you want to make sure that you have the tools at hand to be able to explain exactly what's going on in your program. So production records are one of the key things that will help you with that. It's your actual usage. So production isn't going to be talking about, you know, the theoretical or what this is supposed to cost. It's going to show this is what I actually went through. These are the number of changes that I had to make on, you know, a given week because product didn't come in. all of that helps to be able to show this is why my costs are higher. It's also going to give you some participation trends, things that you know may be very popular. So if you don't have any more commodity taco meat, and you're seeing that, this is something that continues to grow over time, you're going to need to make a hard decision about what else can I do to make sure that this either stays on the menu or I can get it at a reasonable cost. And there may be some items that you're finding, just because a larger population is participating, that those products aren't as popular, or maybe you did have to change with the chicken nugget situation, and your nuggets aren't really as popular as the previous brand that you used to have. So what are the trends? And production's going to give you that information. It's also an audit tool to be able to go in and delve deeper using your Healthy Pro reports. So, yep, sorry. So you want to pull the reports that pull the production record information. So you have usage. Here's an example of your usage. For bids for next year to determine what it is that you need, you can generate your usage for any particular item. You can consolidate those up if you ended up using 3 different kinds of chicken product on your sandwich. But what's the total amount of usage that you can expect, so that when those commodity dollars have to be divided out, you have a good idea of the numbers that you're looking at based upon, again, real information. What are your costs? You can run the cost reports to be able to see, here's my theoretical cost, this is what it looks like on the plate, but in reality, this is what it actually cost me to produce that particular product. And it will help with your planning. So things like your shopping list can be run for entire periods of time, so that you know exactly what your costs were, to be able to say, this is the actual cost of running my cycle menu, or this was the cost for the month of February for the exact number of products. And then there were substitutions that were made, there were other things that came in. So use this as your source of truth, because that's truly what your production records are. And then there's another piece that's built into your Healthy Pro software that is there to give you some assistance. So we always say technology is there to help you, right? And it can be frustrating at times, because isn't it just easier to, write this down and calculate this number? And in some cases it is. But in other cases, you may never get to doing some of these calculations. And the dashboard is one of the areas that, simply by filling out your production record, you're going to use the computer to start crunching your numbers. And the scatter plot here is going to be able to tell you right off the bat, what are the products that are doing well, meaning they're popular, but they're also profitable. The number one thing that we saw for people that were using this and had this in operation is, after the first couple months, they saw their scatter plot have this nice balanced color turn to red and orange, because their costs had gone up so significantly that as those prices were put in, even though the participation was high, the products were no longer profitable. And so districts were able to immediately see a difference and say, it used to be kind of a nice even color, to now it was primarily red, indicating that they had some significant cost issues. So they were well ahead of a lot of other people looking at, well, this one product is expensive, or this product has gone up, or I'm now purchasing this from commodity. But those who were utilizing the technology actually got that feedback right away. So you can run this report at the district level, at the building level, so that it's really going to be most helpful for you against breakfast, lunch, any period of time, as well as any combination of menus, to see how things compare. It is a comparative piece, and that is going to help you as well. And just remember that it does move into all of those dashboard reports that are immediate feedback, do actually open into reports where you can delve down in and get the specifics. This takes you to exactly what is the cost of that entree and how is it going to compare, and you can run it in different ways, thereby asking the question why. So what is it that changed this product from a rock star to a dog? We may all love dogs, but not necessarily in this scenario. This isn't the popular dog. So use the information that is provided, use those tools so that you don't have to take the time to try to figure all this out. It's going to be handed to you with exactly what the information is that you need.
Well, thank you so much, Lynn, for this expertise. And we're going to put in the chat right now for the full length of our financial fitness series that we co-developed last year. So, yep, there's a little COVID words in there, but you know what? It is going to take you through all of the administrative ways you have to tune up your program. Again, get on that treadmill, even if it's just for 5 to 10 minutes to start your financial fitness routine. And so thank you again to Lynn and to Tina for taking time to remind us all about the very important exercises we need to be performing. Last but certainly not least on our roundup, we have our dear Sarah, who's going to keep us all on top of all of the checklist items in our life here in child nutrition. So Sarah, I'll pass it to you.
All right, thanks, Maureen. So just a couple of things on safety. So I have seen in quite a few of the districts that I'm in regularly, we have some new staff, which is exciting that we finally have some new faces and filling some voids that we've had this year. Just reminding that they do need food safety training aside from all of their other training. We do want to make sure that they at least have basic level 1 food safety training. So if you have a need for that, please reach out to us and we can help you with that. Making sure that there is date marking. I've received letters from quite a few of the different counties in which I have school districts that the health department is going to be a little bit more stringent in their spring reviews of the buildings than they had been during that bad C word. So last year, so please just make sure that you are date marking, that you have the right food safety training, and that somebody is level 2 trained in each one of your buildings, because they are going to be looking for those things. And then just as a reminder, GFS does have an inventory manager. It's a great way to be able to help your ladies take their inventory and keep track as opposed to writing it on paper. So again, just another resource that we have at our fingertips if you were not aware. Some ODE updates. Your DOD survey is due the 18th. That is this Friday, so 2 days from today. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then the Build Back Better USDA updates, those Marge did a great job going over those things. Please do not get overwhelmed by the changes to sodium levels. Like she said, they're very minor. The whole grain update is 80% of your whole grains have to be whole grain rich next year. So you can pick a few items here or there, that 20%, if you have things like pasta or a particular biscuit that your kids really like that are not whole grain, that you're able to serve those. So that is going to continue into next school year. Just want to go through this DOD survey. If you've never done this before, this is what it looks like when you sign into your SWEPC account. You'll go over to the left-hand side and you'll see this offerings tab. You're going to want to go ahead and click on that. Then you're going to want to click on the right-hand side of the page. There's a purple Edit DOD button, so click that. Then here you'll see your total entitlement that you're getting, so your total PAL for next year, and you're going to want to put in how much of that money you want to be put into DOD. Okay, so just so that we all understand, you are able to move more money into the DOD if you use that up. So let's say I use all of the $6,000 and I still have commodity money sitting next year, if we're in a different situation than we're in this year, I can move more money. However, you cannot move money from the DOD back into the single bank, okay? It's one way. Once you move that money, the door is closed and it cannot be reopened that way. So please just make sure that you don't put too much in there. As of right now, because of the way commodities sit and we don't know what next school year is looking like, we are suggesting that you be conservative and do only up to 20% of your total entitlement into the DOD. Because again, if there's money sitting, you can always move the money later. And then hot off the press, Maureen was at the SANS meeting This morning with that supply chain assistance funding that we are getting, we got a little more information from ODE. So what the allowable costs are, so things like milk, fruits, vegetables, and grains. These items must be minimally processed. So they need to be whole, cut, pureed, frozen, canned, or dried. And then they have some more stipulations, and we'll be sending that out in our next What's Up Wednesday newsletter. So please look forward to that in the next 2 weeks. And then just with all of the money that you're spending, of course, this is still federal dollars. Please keep all of your procurement documents in order so that you have those, because you'll need to be able to track that money just like any other federal money that's coming into your program. And then commodities updates. So just so that you know, your single bank actually shuts off when you've used 95% of your entitlement, right? So then you still have that 5% sitting in there. So we don't want to just leave that, especially this year. As Tina said, we want to make sure that we're using all of that money and we're not really getting anything extra. So if you are at that point when you go in and take a look, contact Tammy Carnes and she will help you allocate that money to a specific vendor. So that last 5% that you have to set to just one vendor. So as Tina mentioned, taco meat is popular. It's a little pricey. So if you have money left, you might want to allocate those funds to JTM for your taco meat. And then as far as how they're determining how much commodity money you're going to get for next year, please do not panic if you go in there and see the amount that is in there when you go to do your DOD survey by this Friday, the 18th. That is just part of the money. So that is based on the amount of meals that you served in 18-19. You will be getting additional funds based on the amount of meals that you serve from April to June of this year. So there is more money to come. Do not panic. I think that's kind of the theme today. We don't want you to panic, okay? So also, you probably received an email in the last couple of weeks in regards to the local OSC bid. They are asking just for projections for next year for local produce. This is not a commitment that if you commit to pounds and you don't need them, that you must purchase them and take them. They are just trying to go out to the farmers and allow them to know how much we actually will be purchasing next year. And of course, it's hard to say, right? Because if we go back to full paid meals, participation might look a little different for a lot of districts. You can obviously purchase less if you need to, and you can obviously purchase more if you would happen to need more. So again, this is just your best guesstimate. You are not held to that. I know that that scared a lot of people when that email came out. All right, so just a little caught doing something good. I had some of my ladies at Stone Monroe Falls Elementary try to make a little bit of a joke on all of the craziness that we've had with the supply chain and to be able to celebrate Valentine's Day. So they made these little boards outside of the cafeteria. Really, this is very true, especially for this particular district. We order food on a day that it just seems really hard to get what's on the menu that I've created, that or I just pick what everybody else wants as well. So just a little way of finding humor in everything that's going on right now. Also, we are trying to go back to offering some fresh items. I think we've all kind of got our feet underneath of us as far as the ordering process and using that substitution list, how many kids we're going to be serving. I think staff is finally, you all are healthy and able to be at work. And I think everybody's kind of had a bug if they're going to have the bug. So hopefully, you know, we stay fully staffed for at least the next 90 days while we all have our immunity. So we are trying to introduce some items. The kids actually love this. We served this at my elementary schools in Stone Monroe Falls last week, and the kids thought it was the greatest thing ever. I think that the kids are getting as sick of all of the prepackaged stuff as I think we all are. And this was really simple to put together. It literally took the ladies about 10 minutes. So really, really, really simple to put fresh items together for the kids. So I'll pass it to Marie to go over some resources.
Always efficient, effective, and compelling. This little charge from Sarah Carlson. For those of you who have never met her in person, she is something to be reckoned with when it comes to like keeping all of us organized with the checklist items. So if you've stayed with us throughout this presentation, we thank you for your time. I get to round this Love Fest up a little bit with, like we kept saying, don't panic. So we care about your blood pressure. We care about your heart. we don't want you to be worried about things. And so there's a couple things here at the end of today that we just want to offer you as more resources. This one is kind of a beware situation. So a public service announcement. One of our school districts received an email about a third party offering to monitor their rewards. So everybody knows cool school points and different food, reward systems that manufacturers work into. So Gordon put this together for us just to share. Partners of Gordon Food Service are recommending the schools decline these additional third-party providers politely, of course, to be safe. So some of them are not legitimate. And so again, kind of those spams that come in your way and you're like, should I be filling this out and doing something? The answer is no. Save yourself the time and the worry. So the next piece here, obviously we're just, we talk about work smarter, not work smarter, not harder. And so National School Breakfast Week, if you're into any of those ideas or have some of your own, don't forget to click on the School Nutrition Association's free resources, tons of free marketing materials, things that you can easily put up in your cafeteria, but also on your district's social media or newsletter to your parents. Just great infographics about information about all of the hard work you do already done for you, really colorful and beautiful. So don't forget, if you are going to do it, click on those resources. The next one here is, again, just a nod to what we care about, and that's you, right? So we did put together a blog post about heart health, and that can be, I think somebody's going to drop it in the chat for you to click on. For those of you who haven't seen our blog resources, we hope that you find them light reads that will inspire you, but also perhaps add content to your own district's website. So this one in particular was co-written by one of our interns. So again, we pay it forward with mentorship of interns in our practice, and we like them to understand that it does take a village and we all have to take care of each other. So this blog post is available for you to read and share as you see fit. Also, wanted to share the February mealtime memo. There are some great things coming out of DICN.org, and they had a great resource. So we wanted to include that. And again, and after the call, we will include how to find the ICN memo with information that's going to make your job easier and less stressful. Nod out, a final nod, but always in good partnership. I want to suggest that you all take a look at this compliance resource, again, created by my soul sister on the West Coast, Jen McNeil, and her team at Lunch Assist. She does such a great job of just really organizing and concisely putting together, like, what's on my to-do list. So this to-do list spans January to March and really gives you some really quick compliance. Also, a bonus in the chat, Lynn reminded us that she just did a really great quick administrative review webinar with Healthy Meal Planner Pro. And Healthy Meal Planner Pro has the opportunity for us to get the recording of that webinar and be able to look at the recorded AR. So again, nobody today at the SAN meeting, Misty Davis, from her lips to my ears to God's ears, everybody, no ARs this year, but they are coming. And so if you're proactive to maintain that low blood pressure, Lynn shared with us the Healthy Meal Planner Pro webinar, and that again will be dropped into the chat box and in the follow-up memos. Also, I think the last slide didn't come through as well as we'd like it to, but there are 3 free resources. So talk about it takes a village. If you loved the little financial fitness, little characters jumping rope and lifting weights, that is courtesy of the marketing team at Healthy Meal Planner Pro, and they have put their wizardry back in more opportunities for you to have free downloadable offer versus serve posters. So we are dumping that into the chat box too. Or certainly I would like Lynn to unmute herself and just say thank you again. We love being here on site. Obviously, thank you to our partners here at Arlington Valley Farm, Peter Jacobson and his team here. They've been wonderful in hosting me. I'm still hungry because I'm still smelling that maple. The cinnamon, whatever they got rolling right now, it smells delicious. And we are open here now for questions. Please feel free to unmute yourself. We've ended with 2 minutes to spare. Normally we're right up against the hour. So we would appreciate any last comments or questions. You can either type them in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself. Again, we are here to help support you and hope you find these resources to be helpful in your journey as we kind of round out what the spring is going to look like and into our planning for summer and fall. So I will open it up. Anyone from the team want to jump on? Any last minute words of love for I see Diana Hill. Diana Hill, got some love today because she won the sand prize and she got some kind of fun floatable cooler for the summer. So I know Diana's going to be looking forward to enjoying that. You're welcome, Diana. Thank you for attending. That's been a long day of PD for you. All right. I don't think I have any more questions in the chat box. Again, we really appreciate all of you for your time and attention, and always don't panic, call Pasanic, give us a call. We're here for you. Have a great day.